This is a Suzuki Hayabusa, but then I suspect a lot of you already knew that. This is in fact a 2021 Hayabusa, and it is a big, comfy, and phenomenally fast motorcycle. The Hayabusa is a bit of a funny beast. When they first came out in, let's say 1999, I think, it was in an era of hyperbikes. It was a bit of a thing. So Honda brought out the Blackbird, then there was the Hayabusa, Kawasaki had the ZX-12, and then a few years later the ZZR 1400. There was this kind of war, particularly in the Japanese manufacturers, about a bit of a willy waving competition. Who could make the fastest superbike? They were all aiming to get the 200 mile an hour production bike. That never actually happened with a stock bike, and they settled on a gentleman's agreement of 186 mile an hour, which I still find funny. I find it funny that they went, hang on a minute, boys, let's be sensible. Let's only do 186 mile an hour, because that's not quite triple the speed limit in most countries. But settle they did, so that kind of capped the speed race thing. The Hayabusa was probably the most prominent of those cult bikes back then. Fast forward 20 years, Suzuki brought out this one, 2021, the new Hayabusa, and it was a bit of an odd thing. Now, you know, those headline power figures and headline top speeds, that stuff's all taken by bikes like the Panigale V4, BMW's S1000RR, kind of even Suzuki's GSX R1000. That ultimate performance thing, that's gone the way of the superbikes. So where does the Hayabusa fit in? When it was launched and announced with 190 horsepower and 264 kilos, a lot of people kind of got disappointed. A lot of people went, oh, what's the point in that? I won't lie, I was kind of in that camp. I was a little bit, let down by the paper, by the fact sheets. Then we went and rode it, and something else started to show through. It's no longer the big, fat, fast, straight line missile, faster than anything else on the road. It's still not a nimble sports bike, but what it is a really, really good kind of, if you like, a grand touring bike. If you've got an inkling to go and do some miles, to do some proper big, long road trips, enjoying 200, 300 mile days, but you're not ready to hang up your leathers, you're not ready to climb onto a big fat tourer with a screen and panniers. This thing holds actually something pretty special. It is really comfortable, capable of incredible mileage, and ballistically fast. And so that got me thinking, what actually could we make out of this? For one, a lot of performance locked in this bike, waiting to be unleashed. 190 horsepower is still a lot of power. There's absolutely tons of torque, so it's not a bike that needs to be revved. But speaking to a few people in the know, exhausts, there's a fair restriction in there, and actually in the ECU these things are pretty well pegged back in order to get through all the emissions regulations, in order to pass noise tests, all the current regulations that they have to get through. So actually there's a fair bit of extra oomph waiting to be unlocked. But rather than go down the line of, oh, let's make a 300 billion horsepower straight line weapon that's then unusable for anything else, I don't want to ruin that in this Hayabusa. I want to make the best of what it is. So I've got a bit of a plan. We're going to turn this into the ultimate grand touring machine. So with that, we're going to go for a little bit more power. We're going to drop weight wherever we can and enhance some of the comfort and long distance capability of it. And then we're going to ride it to the other side of the continent as fast as humanly possible. That sounds like a brilliant idea. And where better place to start than on a bloody great runway? So we have had a fabulous day here at Western. It's been a really good opportunity to just take another look at the performance of the Hayabusa while pretending I'm an aeroplane all day. I've actually been in the holding pattern with all the aeroplanes while they're waiting to land. In between, we do a quick zup, zup, up and down and then repeat the pattern again. So I've learned all my call signs, 10-4, Charlie Tango, Tea Kettle Barbecue. What you can't see is Ollie behind the camera giggling his tits off because he is actually a helicopterist and knows what he's supposed to say. The Hayabusa did a very good impression of an aeroplane today. It is a phenomenally fast bike. The fact that I can get a big 260 plus kilo bike to do 0 to 60 in 2.8 seconds. It's ridiculous. It is so quick, and it's lazy with it. It doesn't feel frantic. It doesn't feel like it's trying to take your teeth out. It just launches and goes. It makes doing those speeds, doing those launch times, very, very achievable. We did the quarter mile in 10.1 seconds with a top speed of about 146 miles an hour. That's fast. That's a fast quarter mile time. So I had a good go at getting the quarter mile times down into the 9-second bracket, but yeah, just never quite managed it. I suspect it's in there with the absolute perfect launch, maybe a little better wind conditions. There comes a point when you have to stop abusing the hell out of the clutch and get on with what you were here to do. So quarter mile, we'll call it a 10.1 quarter mile, and top speed, as I already mentioned, 173-ish miles an hour, which on a runway that's less than a mile long, we're just about a kilometre long here. Don't forget you've got to stop as well as that. I think that's pretty impressive. A few things I've noticed throughout the day: it is a heavy bike, so we're going to try and knock a little bit of weight out of it with our mods. Definitely that'll help even more on handling and track stuff when we get to that. Power, it can take more power. It doesn't need more power, but the way it is so stable, the way it's so easy to launch, this thing can definitely handle a good chunk more power. So we're going to try and unlock some more BHP. Finally, there's a little peculiarity that I kind of need to get my head around with it. It's long and it's low, so when you're braking at maximum braking, it sort of chirps and pushes through the front tyre, which is a little bit of an odd sensation. So I'm going to try and have a little fiddle with the suspension, see if I can get it sat a little bit higher, whack some stickier tyres on and try and get, yeah, a little bit more dynamic ride out of it, because I think that's what is going to be really fun. Covering big ground and actually starting to wake it up a little bit. So we're done for the day. We're going to pack the Hayabusa up now and go off in search of more performance. I want to get less weight, more power, see if I can wake the chassis up a bit, and then it's time for a massive road trip somewhere awesome. I can't wait.